Hey, it's Kurt at the Top Corner Hockey Studios, Top Corner Hockey on Facebook, and Top Corner Kurt on Instagram. Thanks for watching. In its earliest days, and for years, hockey was purely an amateur sport. It was the gentlemanly thing to do. The idea for playing for anything other than fitness and friendship was completely appalling to these men. Otherwise, it was seen as prostitution. It wasn't until 1903 that Doc Gibson, an expelled amateur player from Portage, Manitoba, began hiring professionals, or in other words, he paid his players. He openly divided the gate receipts amongst his players. The Olympics is all about amateur athletes, or at least it was for the longest time, and still is mostly today. Until pro basketball players started participating in the Olympics in 1992, pro hockey players followed in 1998. However, with the NHL's bold and blunt statement on Monday, not allowing NHL players to play at the 2018 Olympics in South Korea, it looks like that amateur hockey players will once again go into the spotlight of the sport. Unless something unforeseen and drastic occurs amongst the NHLPA and the NHL, then the NHL will miss out on sending its players overseas and playing in Asia. I would miss watching the NHL players compete at the Olympics. I enjoyed those years that they did go and thought it was terrific hockey. The NHL Olympians produced some amazing memories over their years of participation. Here are my top 10 moments of NHL players competing at the Olympic Games. Number 10, the U.S. was almost perfect in Salt Lake City. They only lost one game, and that was the gold medal game. The home team was dominant at the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City. The U.S. started the tournament by stomping Finland 6-0. They entered the elimination round with a 3-0 record, scoring 16 goals and only allowing 3. The Americans crushed Germany in the quarters, and the home fans were no doubt thinking gold. The Yellow Brick Road involved a tight win over the Russians in the semis and a date with Canada in the gold medal game. The U.S. even got on the board first with a goal by Tony Amonte, but that was as close as they would get to gold. Although the U.S. had both the best goals for and goals against at the 2002 Olympics, Team Canada had an easier semifinal game and peaked at the right time, beating the U.S. in the gold medal game 5-2, the Americans' only loss of the tournament. Number 9, Canada's strange roster at Turin. While young guns such as Jason Spezza and Sidney Crosby watched from home, Canada sent an older, slower team to Italy in 2006. Snowshoed defensemen Adam Foote and Robin Regeer both suited up. Foote was 34 and past his prime, and Regeer was 25 and before his best years. 36-year-old Rob Blake also made the cut as the oldest player on the team. 34-year-old plugger Chris Draper also made the squad, which is clearly not representative of Canada's best talent. The defending gold medalists got shut out in 3 of their 6 games, including a meager 2-0 loss to Russia in the quarterfinals. The goaltending duo of Martin Brodeur and Roberto Luongo did a fine job combining for a .925 save percentage, but you can't win if you don't score, and no team ever expressed that better than Team Canada at the 2006 Winter Games in Turin. Number 8, Canada plays keep away with everyone in Sochi. Although Team Canada averaged less than 3 goals a game, it turned out they didn't have to score much. They only allowed 3 goals in 6 games and never trailed at any point during the tournament. Canada didn't defend, they just kept the puck all game long away from their opponents. Their possession numbers were off the charts as the Canadians rarely gave up the puck. While it would be nice to score, and Canada certainly had the talent to do so, the team was perhaps the most efficient club ever iced. Canada controlled each and every game. They worked the crap out of their opposition while outchancing them and generally proving no team could match what Team Canada was doing. If there ever was a stamp cementing that hockey is Canada's game, the Sochi Olympics pounded that message on the globe. Number 7, no stopping Bure in Japan. Pavel Bure was a superb goal scorer. By the time the NHL players took a break to compete at the '98 Olympics in Nagano, Bure already had 34 goals in 57 games. His goal scoring didn't stop in Japan either. Pavel scored 4 goals in his first 4 games, then exploded for 5 goals against Finland in a 7-4 Russian victory during the semifinals. Although Hasek shut both him and all of his teammates out in the gold medal game, Bure still finished with 9 goals in 6 games. The closest anyone has come to Bure's performance at the 1998 Olympics was Olli Jokinen's 6 goals at the 2006 Olympics. Number 6, Belarus upset Sweden in Salt Lake City. Sweden may have given up the first goal of the game in their first match at the 2002 games against Team Canada, but they stormed back and won 5-2. Sweden was a machine after that, winning the next 2 games by a combined score of 9-2. The Swedes were in great shape heading into the medal round as they faced the 2-4 Team Belarus. However, Belarusian goalie Andrei Mezin had the game of his life, stopping 44 shots and keeping Belarus close. With just over 2 minutes left in the game and the score tied at 3, defenseman Vladimir Kopat fired a slap shot from center that hit Tommy Salo up high, bounced over his head, and into the net. Belarus hung on for a 4-3 win, easily the biggest upset of the tournament. Number 5, the other epic rivalry for gold in Turin. Sweden playing Finland. For millions of hockey fans across the Atlantic, the Scandinavian tilt between Sweden and Finland is their favorite contest. In the 2 previous Olympics with NHLers, the Finns had better results than the Swedes. Finland had a bronze from '98, while Sweden had just a pair of 5th place finishes. In Turin, Team Finland was on fire, scoring 27 goals and shutting out their opponents in 3 of their last 4 games, keeping their record perfect entering the gold medal game. Although Sweden was not at the level Finland was before that gold medal match, everyone knew that the gold medal game between these two would be close. The last 6 meetings between Sweden and Finland ended either in a 1-goal difference or a tie. The 2006 gold medal game was amazing. Tied at 2 after 2, Nick Lidstrom scored just 10 seconds into the 3rd period on Antero Niittymaki to give Sweden a lead they would not lose. For great players like Lundqvist, Sedin, and Alfredsson, who never won a Stanley Cup, it was great to see them reap the rewards of a great hockey career. Number 4, Canada takes a slap shot to the heart. The 1998 Shootout. Canada's first NHL roster at the Olympics was stacked. 13 players from that roster are now in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Modestly put, Canada rolled through the first 4 games of the Olympics, going 4-0 and outscoring their opposition 16-4. In the semifinals, Canada ran into the Dominator. It took Canada nearly 59 minutes to get one past him when Trevor Linden finally scored, sending the game into overtime. Hasek would not be beaten again, though. Before the shootout began, Hasek asked referee Bill McCreary if Gretzky was taking a shot. Whether he was worried or maybe just curious, Hasek was definitely thinking about facing 99. The 4 forwards Team Canada head coach Mark Crawford chose in the shootout were all having great seasons in the NHL before the Olympics started. Obviously, there was no need for a defenseman in there, and I really believe Crawford put Bourque in there because Bourque could go 4 for 4 in the accuracy portion of the All-Star game. No matter, because Hasek stopped all 5 Canadian shooters, while the Czechs' first shooter, Robert Reichel, put one off the post and in on Waugh, and it was more than enough for Hasek. Should Crawford have put Gretzky in? No question he should have. Although Wayne only had 13 goals in the NHL that season and did not have a shot on goal during the game against the Czechs, 99's legacy and experience behooved his inclusion. Number 3, Hasek's complete dominance in Japan. We just touched on this a second ago, and let's be honest, you couldn't put a pea past him. Hasek allowed just 5 goals in 6 games. He earned 2 shutouts, and one of them was in the gold medal game. The only team to score more than 1 goal on him was Team Kazakhstan during an 8-2 Czech win in the round robin. Hasek earned a tiny 0.98 goals against average and an inhuman .963 save percentage during the Nagano Olympics. Hasek had nerves of steel too. He nearly shut out the first place Canadians, then totally blanked them in the shootout. Then he shut out tournament leading scorer Pavel Bure and the Russians for gold. Like he did with his NHL club, Hasek carried his team on his back to victory. Although it was a short tournament, Hasek's work at the 98 Winter Games is the best piece of goaltending we've seen from NHLers at the Olympics. Number 2, Canada wins gold for the first time in 50 years. The Edmonton Mercuries won gold for Canada at the 1952 Olympics in Oslo. Since then, Canada had collected just a silver and a couple of bronze medals in the 9 Olympic tournaments that followed. After the heartbreak that occurred in Nagano 4 years earlier, Canada was eager to show the world they were the best. Wayne Gretzky pieced together a team based on simple science. He wanted the best players available regardless of age or experience. This meant many older players got a chance to redeem themselves. 10 players, in fact, who played in Japan were back on Team Canada in Salt Lake City. An unimpressive 1-1-1 round robin had many doubting Gretzky and Team Canada. But a fiery speech by the Great One seemed to rally the Canucks, and Canada edged the Finns in the quarters, got fortunate to face Belarus in the semis, then peaked at the right time and dumped the Americans in the gold medal game. For a country that always claimed to be the best at hockey, but had no gold in 50 years, this was a huge weight to lift for the players, and they did it. Number 1, the golden goal in Vancouver. What else would it be? A record TV audience of 22 million Canadians watched this game. After Corey Perry made it 2-0 Canada 7 minutes into the second period, Canada let off the gas and the U.S. got their foot in the door 5 minutes later on a goal by Ryan Kesler. Going into the third, Kessler predicted the U.S. would tie it up, and they did. Zach Parise tied it at 2 with 25 seconds left in the game. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe my eyes when that puck went in. The intermission between the third period and overtime was the longest of my life. I was so anxious. Losing at home would have been horrible for Team Canada and all Canadians watching. And it was easy to remember the U.S. had already beaten Canada once before at the Vancouver Olympics. But at 7:40 of overtime, Sidney Crosby scored the goal of his life, winning the game and the gold medal for Canada. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment for all Canadians. The golden goal is certainly one of the greatest moments, not just in Canadian Olympic history, but world Olympic history too. I would love to add to this list, but that would mean the NHLers going back to the Olympics. And I sure hope they do. I really would miss seeing the best players, the best hockey players in the world go against each other, not for money, but just for their flags, just for the countries, just for their own pride. I don't care if I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch games. Done it before, do it again. The desire for these NHLers to play for their countries in the Olympics is obvious, and I'm certain that the players will not sign a new CBA unless that document states that players can participate in the Olympics for years to come. I suppose the biggest question is, would you rather see your team win the Stanley Cup or see your country win a gold medal? Because right now it looks like that they can't do both. And even when they could, it was exceedingly rare. Only 8 players have ever won a Stanley Cup and an Olympic gold medal in the same year. Ken Morrow did it first in 1980 with the U.S. and the New York Islanders. Then it was Stevie Y and Shanahan, Canada and Detroit in 2002. Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook did it with Chicago and Team Canada in 2010. And then Jeff Carter and Drew Doughty did it with Team Canada and the Los Angeles Kings in 2014. Let me know what you think about NHLers participating at the Olympics. Would you like to see you go back to purely amateur games? I've got great memories of the Lillehammer Olympics in 1994. Team Canada lost, but I do remember that it was a really good tournament. I think it would be okay with amateurs, but I definitely lead to NHL players participating in the Olympics. I really want to see the best on best. World Cup, World Hockey Championships, they're fine, but nothing is as great as the Olympics. It's the biggest athletic stage in the whole world. Please continue to like and subscribe. I'm Kurt. This is Top Corner Hockey. Thanks for watching. See you next time.